Have you ever wondered what it's really like flying a private plane? Let me take you on a 2-day solo adventure flying the Pilatus, multiple cities, quick turns, and everything in between. This is not the airline life, this is private aviation. And we don't really have a schedule, we kind of are the schedule. So let me show you everything from the hotels, the airplanes, the chaos, and why I personally would not trade it for anything.
Come along with me as I take you through a full 2-day on the road trip as a corporate pilot. I wasn't flying until 3 p.m. this day, so I went to the park, did a little bit of run and movement outside before going home and getting ready to go flying. Then I went back, showered, got ready for work, and headed out to the hangar. Everything as a corporate pilot is very independent and self-paced, so I just kind of decide how early I need to get there. I call ahead and make sure I have fuel and everything done for the plane. And then I get to the plane, I stock the ice, the drinks, the snacks, and everything, and talk to the FBO for when I want them to pull the plane out. So it's honestly just kind of like me doing it all on my own. We use Preflight for flight planning, so I also do weight and balance on Preflight in my full flight planning and fuel planning on there, and it is extremely accurate. So I usually do that night before, and then I check the weather and make any final adjustments. And this particular trip, I did not need all of the seats, and I really feel like it's easier to get in and out of the back of the plane through the cargo door if I don't have all the seats. So I took one out and put it in the hangar where it could be kept safe and not get damaged. So the whole pre-flight process is not all that hard. It's pretty standard every time. And this particular one, I was doing an empty leg from Idaho over to Salt Lake City, and then Salt Lake City to St. George, Utah, where I was then going to spend the night. And honestly, overnights are pretty rare for me in this job. That is why I do it. I love that part of my job. I generally do out and backs where I'm home every night. And that is really important to me. Something about this job that people may or may not like is I do fly single pilot. So in the airlines, you have two pilots. You have a PIC and an SIC. And for me, I fly the PC-12 and the Citation CJ4, and we fly it single pilot. So PC-12 obviously you don't even need type rating for, but a lot of companies still do fly it with a 2-pilot crew. But we don't. And I've done that my whole career, and I do quite a few different things to make sure that is safe. But that's just how we do it. So something you may not like about this job, but I am totally fine with it. It was beautiful. I mean, huge high pressure system over the area, beautiful weather. It's about an hour and a half with the approach and vectoring around and everything to go down to Salt Lake. So I did that. I went out at about 21,000 feet, which was where I got the best winds, and I get that information off of Preflight. But something, even as a single pilot, is you need to be following your checklist discipline. So these videos are significantly edited for time. I do not show all the flight information, all the checklists and so forth. But that was me just like kind of having a little bit of a plug in there for your checklist. I know I flew with one person at one point in my career that said that they did not use checklists, and I thought that was crazy and not a good idea. So don't do that. Obviously there's flows, but you need to verify with the checklist. That's the whole point, folks. So hour and a half to Salt Lake, picked some people up, quick turned, and then I was headed down to St. George. And the Pilatus is really well set up for single pilot operations. This is me pulling up not only the taxi diagram, but also the approach plate, which was awesome because then you have it all right there. That is a legal form of charts. They are kept up to date, and I can use that. And then I have my phone and an iPad, so I have multiple sets of charts. But this one can be nice because you can see your little airplane on there. And if you just kind of have that habit of just looking at your 4 screens here and not having an iPad mount or whatever the case may be, you might like using that. St. George is probably one of my favorite places to fly into. I am a big fan of mountains, and I really love the red rocks that you fly past going into St. George. So even when it's snowy, you get this incredible approach view, guys. And we were landing about sunset, golden hour off of these cliffs. I just like cannot get over it. And of course the video does not even come to doing it justice, but you can kind of see this is incredible. This is what the approach is, though. This is the RNAV approach for 1.9. So when you're in the weather, there's also a huge 11,000 foot mountain off of your right side there. And so you're getting bumped around quite a bit. If you've never been to St. George, just be ready for that. So basically landed, dropped the passengers off. I was staying overnight on this particular trip, so I just kind of stay with the plane. I do write some things down for our accounting department, and then I chose to put fuel on the plane in the evening of this trip just because I wanted it done. So We always have a rental car as corporate pilots. This is another pro to me as opposed to the airlines because overnights are just like fully put together for your convenience. Like I have a rental car, I expense my food, and it's just way easier to me. I feel like if I'm overnighting as a airline pilot and I like don't have wheels, that makes a huge difference, you know? So I love that. Anyways, after I land, again, I'm kind of a solo operator here. I like to shut the windows, number one, because it keeps the plane cool. Number two, I lock the doors, but then I don't know. I just feel like people won't steal stuff. Even if it's like on a gated airport, I just feel like that's a good idea. So put the plane away, lock the doors, put the covers on, close the windows, dump out the ice, dump out the coffee, get the fuel order done. And then the FBO brings your rental car out to the plane and it's on the way home at that point in time. So my work day started at about 3 p.m. and I landed at 8 o'clock. So not a bad day. Flew 2 legs. Both of them were about 70 minutes. So not a bad day. And then I went and slept like an absolute rock in this hotel room and had a late start the next day. If you're a woman in a hotel room, you need to get some of these little door jam thingies. My husband got me these, and it's just a good idea. Safety. My schedule the next morning was pretty flexible, so I was just getting up at my own pace, getting ready, and getting out the door, which included, of course, applying sunscreen, which is very important if you're a pilot. Me one time that told me that pilots are much more prone to skin cancer. So because we're closer to the sun, getting more solar radiation, and we're just kind of getting blasted through the windshield all day. So wear your sunscreen, folks. It's important to take care of that largest organ. I think this was like 9:30 or 10 a.m. and I was kind of packing up, checking out of the hotel, and just heading back to the airport. This was the view out of the hotel room. So beautiful. Honestly, this was one of my favorite hotels I've stayed at so far on the road. I just thought it was really clean, beautiful, brand new. It had an incredible gym, which is a huge plus for me. I didn't actually work out on this one because I had such a late start to the day, but normally I am in the gym on these overnights, and this one had a really nice gym. So this was the Spring Hill Suites by Marriott in St. George. Highly, highly recommend. Beautiful spot. After that, I went to Perks and got a coffee. And like I said, as a corporate pilot, you do expense your food on the road. That's not something airline pilots get to do. They get per diem. And then they're just kind of paying out of pocket. And I did get In-N-Out for a brunch. So don't judge me. It was really good and quick, and I kind of needed to go quick for time. So we'll say that. But something I do is I go to natural grocery stores or like a Whole Foods or something on the road, and I'll get fruits, I'll get yogurt, I'll get probiotic drinks and bars and stuff like that. And it's cheaper, honestly, than getting another meal throughout the day. And then I just have it with me so I can be snacking in the plane throughout the day. And I do honestly feel like being a corporate pilot is way easier on the health because I have the ability to buy healthy food like this and bring it with me because I'm just like packing the plane myself as opposed to trying to fit everything in my flight bag and like smashing my banana. All right, I'm doing the pre-flight here. I just added a little bit more fuel because we're going to go from here to Salt Lake and then Boise, and I want to not stop for fuel in Salt Lake at all. We're just going to quick turn. So we added a bit more fuel. I'm powering up everything in here to make sure that the fuel was the right amount and then do all my internal checks. I need to get iced coffee and then pay the bill and do the outside pre-flight. Everything's already filed. So, that should be it. Do not forget to give the rental keys back, Katie. So everything's loading up right now. CFR was already in there. We have 2,100 pounds of fuel. That's exactly what I wanted. So that ended up perfectly with my math. I like to set a field elevation even before I get the altimeter setting. That way it's kind of a safety check, as if I forget to put the altimeter setting in, then it's at least pretty darn close. So that's something I do. 3, 4, 5, 6. All the lights are working. Fire warning test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of that is working. Fuel pump test. So that was me just doing all the pre-flight stuff, checking all the lights, doing the fire warning tests and checking the fuel pumps, all the stuff. And I had passengers on this leg, so like I really didn't film. And I went St. George to Salt Lake City, did a quick turn at Signature FBO, and then this was me going through the pre-start checklist and started the engine up as a hot start in Salt Lake City. So this does not have audio, but you'll see I'm clearing right, center, and left, and then I'm signaling that I'm going to start the prop here and we're just selecting starter. You can see that beautiful 5-blade prop spinning. And then I just kind of stay near the starter interrupt in case I have a starter runaway. We do have time limits on that starter, so I'm aware of that during the starting process. And then with my right hand down below, I'm adding in the fuel with the condition lever. So the camera shutter is kind of weird here, but you can see the ITT rising. You can see NG fuel coming in and oil pressure and oil temperature and everything rising like that. So kind of cool if you're into that thing, which I am because I'm a nerd. You can see also in this particular airplane in the PC-12NG and the NGX, the fuel pumps are auto. So you can see on the fuel window, which is that bottom screen top right, that they're automatically coming on. They both indicate green during the starting process. After the start, all 4 of those screens, which we call DU display units in Pilatus world, they come up, they start to load, and I just kind of let everything continue. I already got my clearance when I was on a battery at that point on the standby bus, and then I already got my weather check, my ATIS in Salt Lake International Airport, and now I'm just kind of resetting everything, making sure all my attitude heading stuff is aligned. I'm doing my checklists correctly and my ice protection test, which we do for 1 minute when we're going to go into icing conditions. And then I'll do the pusher test, which you do have to do in the Pilatus on every leg. And this is how you can tell if someone is an experienced Pilatus pilot, guys, is if they know how to do this with the different hands and the back and forth and the pushing and the shaking and the CAS alarm dinging. Like, it's kind of a dance here. And if you can do it seamlessly, that is a test of an experienced Pilatus pilot. So like I said, I don't include all the checklists. These are significantly edited for time, just kind of showing a little bit of the starting process. And then you can see on the screen as I'm taxiing out, the synthetic vision will show the movement. And that top center screen I have set up with the map, which shows my track up is how I have it set up. It shows my waypoints. And I also like the vertical situation display, which will show you terrain and what your programming looks like if you have like a VNAV departure or arrival. So this particular day, I taxied from Signature to runway 35, so it was really quick. It's right there. You just go on kilo, and then I took off on runway 35, which I love. If you're Salt Lake controller, thank you. Please keep putting us on 1735 because I've had to land on 34 left once, and it was a long taxi, and I was like, this sucks. It added like 40 minutes to the flight. So this is the takeoff roll. You can see it on the synthetic vision. That is how accurate and how cool the synthetic vision is on the Honeywell Primus Apex. So I'm a fan. Everybody says they want to go to Garmin. I'm going to just tell you right now, I do not want to go to Garmin. I love Honeywell Primus Apex, and I will live and die by those words. So pretty standard takeoff out of Salt Lake. They basically gave me a northwesterly heading right on departure. So you get to your 400 feet, you get to clear the end of the runway, and you make that left turn, which is what I was cleared to. Get the gear up, get the flaps up, get the yaw damp on, turn the lights off. I kind of have like a takeoff flow that I do. So something single pilot is, at this point in time, it'd be really hard to pull out a paper checklist. So I have a flow. I got a takeoff flow. I have a couple other before landing flows and things like that. But you also do need to be verifying that with the after takeoff checklist, which I will do once I get clear of terrain a little bit higher where I have the ability to maybe turn the autopilot on and do that. So you can kind of see again on that top center screen that we're turning now and going over the Great Salt Lake, and we will be climbing out to the northwest and then intersecting J15 heading home to Idaho. I can't remember exactly what time I left and what the schedule was this day, but I do know that I landed at night, so it was getting a little further away from the In-N-Out. And I was a little snacky at this point in time. I had just had my In-N-Out, and so that's where the healthy snacks come into play to like cancel out that In-N-Out, like that's how it works. So don't come for me if you have never eaten a kiwi this way. Try it first before you knock it because there's a lot of fiber and it's actually really good. So this was nearing the end of my trip. This is a 2-day trip. Basically, like I said, not a lot of overnighting at my job, but this was one. So I kind of wanted to take you guys along, show you what the life is like and see if you would like it and give you an idea of what this industry really looks like. I do have a full other video that is comparing airline pilot to corporate pilot, and it has a lot of good comments on there from people that worked in both spheres. So you can also check that out if you're interested more on this topic, because I think it's important to get the information and make your career decisions that are best for you. So again, getting ready for the approach, pulling up the charts, basically verifying everything that I've programmed into my descent and making sure all of my points are correct if I have an approach in there, and then just kind of descending through a little bit of a cloud layer and getting down into the dark night that was kind of setting in below the clouds. A little bit of ice, obviously not a ton you can see here, but just finishing up my tasks and getting ready to land.
Big Sky approach, Pilatus 3, 7,700, descending 17,000. Information, Juliet.
Pilatus Big Sky approach, descend, maintain 1,000, 11,000. Are you looking for approach or just the visual?
Descend, maintain 1,000, and we can probably just do the visual.
Pilatus 2, roger, plan the visual, runway 10 right.
We'll plan the visual for 10 right, Pilatus down to 11. Alright, we have ATIS, Juliet, we give him that. Ice protection is probes on light right now. Turn our prop ice on through this little layer. PCL is set for the descent, everything looks good. CPCS window, correct for landing field elevation. We have 2990 everywhere. Ice protection probes on light. Inertial separator is open.
Southwest 425, cleared RNAV Zulu, runway 10 right approach.
Division and balanced. And then we'll wait on the rest. Really not much ice at all tonight, just very thin layers of clouds.
Big Sky approach, horizon 2304, 17-4, descending via Cayenne 4. We have Juliet. Horizon 2304, Big Sky approach, what approach are you looking for? We're looking for the RNAV Zulu, 10 left, right, please, 4. Correction, 10 right. Horizon 2304, roger at Jimmy, cleared RNAV Zulu, runway 10 right approach. At Jimmy, cleared RNAV Zulu 10 right, horizon 2304.
So that was my whole trip. I hope you guys enjoyed. Put your questions and comments in the comment section. I read all of them personally. Thanks for watching and fly safely, guys.